Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. Welcome back to a motivational video. I am so sorry you guys about last week. Like I told you guys when I first started this series, I wanted to make sure I was going to be led by Christ on what it is that I wanted to speak about. And I felt like last week I just had so much on my plate, so much on my mind, that I really didn't spend the necessary time that I needed with Christ to be able to know for sure and hear what it was that he wanted me to speak on. So I didn't want to just come on here and it not feel genuine that I was being led by Christ, if that makes sense, you guys. And I spent a lot of time just, being down about not being able to come on here and speak to you guys. But what I love about Christ is that he will make sure that you know when something is from him. So I ended up stumbling across this video actually a few days ago because I was still kind of just feeling, a little down about not being able to come back on here and give you guys a word as though God is on my time. But I need to start realizing that God is on his own time, not mine. And he gave me a word and I'm going to link it down below this video that I watched about this guy. And it's a new motivational speaker actually that I've been listening to, Christian motivational speaker. And I actually had my kids watch it as well. And one thing that he mentioned on there was describing how, God has a hiding place. Not saying that God is hiding from us, but a place where God purposely is silent with how he does things and how he leads us. So I kind of am feeling like last week God was silent to show me that I did have a lot on my plate. I was doing too much, and I do have to make sure that I continue to make that time for him, so that I can be able to hear him when he's speaking to me. And also not being too boggled down with things of this world, like some of the videos that I was just recently talking about, to where I don't have time for him. So even right now, sitting here talking about these things and talking about this video, I do feel like I was led to come on here and kind of speak about, being so busy and not spending as much time with Christ, with not being able to spend that time with him to where you're just silent, to where you hear him. I know a lot of times when we go pray, we want to just start listing off all these things that we want to say to Christ and not really just necessarily giving him time to speak to us. And so that's something actually that I've been working on trying to do more of, actually, since I've been, I would say the last few months. I heard a pastor talk about that. And I was like, that is a good point. We do go sit down in prayer and just talk to Christ about all these things that we want to see him do, that we want for others, that we want for ourselves. But we never just sit down and ask Christ, God, what do you want for me? What do you want me to hear? You do all the talking now, or me just do the listening. Like yesterday, I went into my prayer closet and I just listened to the blank white noise, just the silence of everything. And to me, that was symbolistic as slowing down in the middle of me being so busy to where I just focus on nothing. And you know how sometimes when you sit down and you just want to have a silent mind, and your mind end up drifting off to all these thoughts and these ideas, and it's what I got to do today, what I got to do tomorrow, what I remember from yesterday. I purposely blocked thoughts coming to my mind while I was just in this resting place, in this silent place with Christ, just to feel like, kind of like peace be still, or Terry be still, like be still and listen to what it is that you would want Christ to speak to you or reveal to you. And I just remember just before I did that, I wasn't doing that for any intentions, but I was doing it as giving God the opportunity, and then also humbling myself to know that if God chooses to speak to me or give me a word, he's going to do that. And if he chooses not to, I'm going to continue doing what I've been doing, with working on myself with him. And not all the time, don't ask God for a word and expect it to be done, because a lesson in itself that I've learned is that God is on his own time, not ours, okay? And so actually even saying that out loud is giving me a more revelation to where I have chills even saying that. And like I said, God was just silent with me. And on my way to work, I just remember having an emotional experience with him. Like, I always listen to gospel music all the time now, more than I listen to any music now, which is crazy to me. On my way to work, I was listening to songs that I always hear, but these particular songs just touched my heart. It touched my soul because it actually spoke to me in that moment. And I don't know if I mentioned this in another video, but a lot of times God will give you the right message at the right time whenever you're not expecting it. And it can be something you've heard before, something you've listened to before, but the day that he gives it to you and it touches you and it reveals something to you, or it gives you a sense of peace, that's just more confirmation that God is like, don't think that I'm not with you, even though you haven't heard from me. I'm with you, and I'm choosing to be silent. I'm choosing to not give you direction, because I did need to reflect. I did need to see that, man, like, I actually, when God was silent with me, I actually looked back and was like, what was the difference this time than the last time when I felt a word from Christ? And it was, I wasn't so busy. And it's important to not be so busy to where you don't have time for Christ. When I say busy, I mean that I was so busy to where my time with Christ in my prayer closet, or it was even a few days I didn't even go in my prayer closet. I just spent time with God on my way drifting off to sleep. I really didn't spend the necessary time that I needed with him. And not saying that I need to do that to get a word from him, but it just allowed me, like, God being silent allowed me to learn my own lesson with just reflecting on what I told Christ that I want to do with my life, and then not meeting those expectations, or not meeting up to what I said I want to do. And not that God is a God of you gotta do and you gotta be by your word, but I feel like with me in particular, and I'm not speaking for anybody else, but me in particular, I feel like if you're gonna be about this life, be about this life. Like, it is a lifestyle, it is a choice, it is something that you must do. And seeing me slowly drift into spending less time with Christ, knowing where they got me so many years before, I was able to reflect on that. And actually, I was able to reflect on my life previously, on times when I was always wanting to get closer to Christ, and then I would drift back, get closer to Christ, drift back. Now, you guys, I am actually paying close attention to details. Remember the last video about God pays close attention to detail? I am paying close attention to detail on when I start to drift away, like even have the thought of it, to where I can easily remind myself and easily put things back into perspective. And I feel like this daily walk with Christ is literally that. It is a daily, sometimes a minute walk, a hourly walk, constant walk with Christ. And this past week just showed me that. And even leading up into right now, it's even showing me even more. Like, I'm speaking to you guys with what's on my heart, and God is also giving me a revelation as I'm speaking to you guys. And I also strongly believe how Christ does that with us. Like, so many times that I've been, you know, on this journey with Christ right now, he's been speaking to me through me, or with the words that I'm saying, or the words that I'm telling other people. Like, and I love that. And honestly, there is a video that I want to do for you guys, and I know this is God, like, putting this on my mind to even say out loud, because I've been holding back on speaking about it. But I think I want to pray about it a little bit more on a video when it comes to, like, symbols and, you know, numbers, and how God uses those things for just, you know, something that is for a comfort, or something for reassurance, or something that's a reminder that he's guiding you, you know what I mean? So I just want to pray about that a little bit more, because I don't want to come on here and make it seem like everyone has to have a symbol to know that God is watching after them, and if they don't have a symbol, they don't think that God is watching after them. So I want to take more time to talk about that. But the reason why I'm mentioning it right now is because God has been showing me that particular thing constantly, and even a lot more this week, and this past week, and even today. And I just want to just say that out loud, is that, guys, continue to seek Christ, continue to follow him. If forever a time when you're following him you slide back, or you drift off, or you create distance between you and Christ, don't give up. Keep pressing on and pushing on for him, because he will continue to show you who he is every single step of the way, and he's never away from us. He's with us. And please, you guys, watch this video that I'm gonna post down below in the description bar. It is, let me get his name. It's a video that I felt like I put on my heart to watch the other day whenever I was, like I said, in this time frame of just feeling like why or how God not giving me a word actually gave me multiple words, if that makes sense. And I love how God works on that. But this video is just powerful because the name of it is the #1 sign God is testing and preparing you for your calling. And I love how in this video he talked about a lot of times God will be silent and answer your prayers, but then be silent to see what you're gonna do whenever he finally answers them. And so I feel like when he said that, it really just touched my heart and my mind, because I feel like that's the space that I'm in right now. Like, God has been blessing me nonstop. My prayer list, my prayer journal, like blessing me nonstop. And not only do I feel like that even more, like, and it's like hearing him say that brought attention to me, knowing that God is always going to test us. He's always going to put pressure on us. He's always going to comfort us, care for us, put us in the palm of his hand and carry us. But then also, in order to make us stronger, he has to test us. He has to see what our weaknesses are. He has to say, yes, I'm going to bless you with this, and then see what we do with it based on our heart and where we truly are with him. I feel like he did that in the Bible a lot with the disciples, or with just other people in the Bible. And me knowing this, it's helping me now to, rightfully so, as God is blessing me with things, making sure I keep my mind solely focused on what his purpose is for my life. And y'all, it's important to constantly have resources. It's important to have people of Christ. It's important to have a support system when it comes to walking in this journey with Christ. And your #1 support system, though, for this is Christ. And I just wanted to come on here and just kind of tell you guys where I'm at right now. And I know this video wasn't just based on a specific word, but I guess if I wanted to title this video, I would say in the midst of God's silence, which will show your true character and will allow you to think deeper. I think that's what I would title this as. And it's honestly a learning your own lesson, a learning your own self. And I honestly got to purposely have to focus on myself. I have to evaluate myself to see where it is that I'm trying to go, and if I'm trying to put so many different things in between my gap with my walk with Christ, if I guess I can say that correctly. But I just wanted to come on here and just kind of speak on that. Also, I want to, the last part of this video, I want to talk about where I'm at right now in the Bible, because I'm still on my journey reading the Bible. I'm now in Leviticus, and y'all, let me tell y'all, in the last video I told y'all about how God pay attention close to details. And when I say he's still paying close attention to details as far as like what he wants people to do and not do, y'all, Leviticus, oh my gosh, Moses had a tough job, y'all. Moses had a tough job with having to lay down all these rules. Like, keep in mind, God was only giving these rules and these regulations to Moses. Moses had to then take these rules and regulations and go make sure that the Israelites was following them and that they knew of them. And when I tell y'all, it was so many of them. Like, I honestly, I'm not gonna lie, I skipped through some, but I am gonna go back and read it. But I just wanted to go past through it to see like how Moses was about to, how he was finna strategize to tell these Israelites what all God said they can and can't do. And I mean down to the detail. And so now I'm on the part where they're talking about, you know, reserving the Sabbath. And I really love understanding the foundation of the Sabbath. And honestly, Leviticus is a chapter based on the Israelites were slaves for over years. They now were free, but they needed direction, and not just regular old direction, but they needed strong direction, because keep in mind, they were just used to being slaves for all these long times. So rituals after rituals after routine, they had to learn from their masters. God had to make sure he came in strong to give them leadership and direction on what it is that they needed to do, or they would just be so quick to go find out who was going to be their next master to tell them what to do. Because imagine if you've been told your whole life what you're supposed to do, when you're supposed to eat, how much you're supposed to eat, not eat, and then all of a sudden get delivered and chopped off from that, you're going to feel lost. And trying to find your own way after you've just been directed for so many years, passed down from generation to generation, you're going to be loster than lost, like lost in the sauce, okay? So at first I was just like, dang God, like you made it strict with these people. But as I started getting more and more in the chapter, and God started putting more of a wisdom and understanding in my mind, I was now being able to think like, oh, that's why, like he had to, because if he didn't, these people would be going wild and buck wild, which keep in mind they did, and they still doing right now that I'm reading it. But keep in mind also that there is a good percentage of people who are going to follow the law, who are going to prosper and have prosperity. Just like right now today, we have laws, we have rules, we have regulations, we have this, don't do that, same thing. But there's a whole prison system full of people that break the rules. There's a whole system of people who haven't made it to prison yet that's breaking the rules. And there's a whole percentage of people that actually try not to break rules. And there's a whole group of people that don't break rules. And if they do, it's very small amount. So it's the same thing. But like I said, these people came fresh out of slavery, and now it's like I'm starting to understand why God did what he did in the book of Leviticus. He was teaching them about what true holiness is, probably knowing that they were probably not going to follow this true holiness, but he gave them a sense of firm direction from the greatest leader of all time, you know, the greatest master of all time, still to this day. So it's allowing me to even more understand that God, you think about things that we don't even, our minds are too small to even grasp. Like here I am back in 2024 thinking like, dang, they couldn't breathe. Like they had to do all of this stuff. They had to do all of this work. But God even taught me like, hey, don't be trying to tell me what I did to them. Like I had to do this. Like, look, girl, I had to do this, and I still have to do this even right now today with my own life. You know, God was like, don't judge them because, you know, you got your own way on how I need to lead and direct you, just like I'm trying to lead and direct them in the book of Leviticus. So it's just funny how you want to cast out your judgment on so much of this stuff that God is doing in the Bible, but it's like God is also teaching me like mentally, and it's not like, and when I say God speaking to me, I don't want you guys to think that God is like word for word for word, but God will put these thoughts in your mind that gives you an understanding. Just like you learning something new, you learn it by your mind unlocking these certain levels of knowledge, and I feel like God does that. Like he purposely unlocks these certain levels of knowledge and understanding in my mind that I'm reading the scripture, and I'm able to apply it to my life. So I just want to say thank you guys so much for coming on here and listening and hearing me. I told God, you know, I feel like I know you're telling me to sit down and cut on this camera, and I don't know exactly what you want me to say, but I felt a pull to do it. Although last week I really didn't, but this week I did, and I needed to make sure that I prayed on it and that I asked God to guide me and lead me, and I always will ask God to allow me to be a vessel and not allow me to just be speaking off the side of my neck. If I'm going to speak to God's people, meaning myself included, let it come from God, not me. Okay, so I just want to thank you guys so much for coming on here and listening to me. I hope you guys were able to be encouraged and blessed by anything that I said. Please continue to leave me comments, messages, anywhere on any of our platforms. I am honoring Christ on every single one, and I appreciate you guys' love and support. I love you guys. Until then, I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye. Y'all, I know y'all probably was like, why is her face glowing? So my kids made me this spectacular Mother's Day surprise in my studio actually, and so I have this little vase with lights inside that they made with flowers, and so it's so peaceful. So I just wanted to turn it on and just have it right here next to me while I'm recording, and it is just so beautiful. But that is what's glowing on my face, okay? So don't think that I am like just, you know, have this natural glow. I wish I did, because look.